GOP Senator Ron Johnson flips on marriage equality bill. Where are we?
There. Yeah. It's a very legitimate concern.
Does the amendment fix that, or
I've got to see their amendment. We're working on an amendment as well. So before I'd ever support that, again, it's completely unnecessary. You have to understand this. I mean, that bill is completely unnecessary. The decision on gay marriage will never be overturned. It's completely different than Roe v. Wade and the Dobbs decision. This is where stare decisis would be decisive. I do not see the Supreme Court overturning that, because that would impact millions of people that have been acted on that. Roe v. Wade and the Dobbs decision was proactive. It was protecting life in the future. So again, this is just Democrats opening up a wound that had really healed. I've always been supportive of civil unions, but the Supreme Court ruled on gay marriage, and it's okay, that's the decision, let's move on.
Last month, after the Respect for Marriage Act passed, the House with bipartisan support, eyes turned to the Senate, where 10 Republicans will be needed to vote it through. Republican Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin had initially said he saw no reason to oppose the passage of the bill. Now he has changed his mind, saying that the bill needs to be amended to include an exemption for religious freedom. In an interview with WISN, he said, quote, "This is just Democrats opening up a wound that had really healed. I have always been supportive of civil unions, and the Supreme Court ruled on gay marriage and said, okay, that's the decision. Let's move on," end quote. First of all, I thought this guy was on Miami Vice. Then I found out that was Don Johnson. Then I thought that he had a surf shop. Then I found out it was Ron John's surf shop. Okay, now I found out who this idiot is. Now here's the thing. Ron Johnson is up for election this year, all right? That is why he has changed his mind. Somebody went to his ear and said, "Fool, you still want to win this year, right? You might want to come on our side." And that's what's happened. Oh, and thank you so much for giving us civil unions. You're so sweet.
Yeah, 2002 called. They want their politics back. At the start of your story, you asked where does this put us? This puts us, by my count, at 54 votes towards filibuster, which means we now need 6 more. Dems are not picking at this wound. Clarence Thomas, the most Republican judge on the bench, he picked the wound. Yep. He's the one who said, "I don't care about stare decisis," which
John,
is.
Why do you think that that's happening? Because I think that that's a bullseye point. Why have the Democrats gone so silent to not pick at this wound of going, here's why you've got to support, here's why why do you think that they're doing that?
Because I think that they have done a nose count and have 60 votes for the lame duck.
There it is. See, I agree with that. I think we're way closer than publicly they want to talk about.
I really do. And to Ron Johnson's point, he is running for re-election. But here's the thing. He's in Wisconsin, and he's trailing his Democratic opponent who just had his primary last week or the week prior. So he is just wrapping his arms around the base and praying that rural Wisconsin and everybody more than 10 miles outside Milwaukee are going to vote for him and carry him to victory, because he is going to go down. He's going to lose.
Those observations are absolutely correct. He's in trouble, and that's why he's done this. And we have an opportunity to be optimistic, because there's something going on, because it went too silent. And there's other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it was dog whistle after dog whistle. I don't know. I mean, even though you feel like he was supporting, he would use words like, civil union and things of that nature. I just feel like he was trying to reach one base, but obviously reaching for another. So he's speaking out of both sides of his mouth. That's just what it felt like for me.
Yeah, his talking points wasn't all the way together. I think this is something we should be definitely concerned about. Just how they just overturn Roe versus Wade, they can do the same thing with gay marriage. And I think this is something we should not, turn our eyes against.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely keep our eyes on this and definitely continue to talk about it, because it could happen. It could very well happen.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting. I feel like it's interesting that he would say that, like it wouldn't be overturned like Roe v. Wade. When they were saying the same thing, it wouldn't be overturned as well.
It's because it's the easiest lie to tell.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Look over here, because you don't have to worry about it. Well, of course we have to look over here, because the evil thing that's on your shoulder is really talking. And the evil thing that's on your shoulder, Senator Johnson, is the hardcore, radical, evangelical religious right. That's who we have to pay attention to. And he's trying to misdirect. That's the reason there. It's interesting, because I went to Wikipedia and looked up his name. Of course, I know a lot about him anyway, but I went to look up his name. And at Wikipedia, the first description of Senator Johnson is hypocrite. It's interesting to me that was the first thing that was there, because he immediately came out by saying, wait, I'm going to try to moderate myself by saying, oh, I'm not against this. I'm one of the 5. We're to 55 publicly. I just want to point out a couple of examples of how offensive this statement was. First, let's apply the exact same standard of civil union and apply it in the exact same context of black civil rights in the 1960s. We're going to have separate but equal, and we'll create rules that say, we recognize you, but only to a point. That's what he just said about gay marriage and civil union, and it could be applied to black civil rights.
I think we got to be very careful trying to compare the two.
Why?
Because as a black person, I think our issues are much more broader and much more lengthy than the LGBT issues. I think that it's important that we recognize that they're both separate issues, but we should never ever try to compare the issues against each other or compare them together.
Okay. That was not my intent. It was not my intent.
Excuse me if I missed.
No.
I'm putting words in Johnson's mouth to make the connection that you minimize rights. That's the point that I was making. We could have never and should have never done that on the civil rights movement. And that's the way we dealt with civil rights for 25 very active years, and a lot of years even after civil rights were passed. We minimized the rights in every possible way we could, which is what he's doing right now. Yes, we got marriage in 2015, and it is settled law. And you shouldn't be discussing. We should water down those civil rights by talking about civil union, which is what he's done in 2022. Same kinds of things on women and Title IX. Equality is equality, and you do not water down equality decisions by saying, well, we don't really need to go that far because you're protected anyway. Well, yes, women were protected in the United States, but the reason Title IX came along is they were not being enforced. And that's why Title IX came back. And then the last thing that I point out is, let's make the civil union argument. Okay, let's assume that the senator from Wisconsin is right. Why couldn't we apply that exact same standard and set aside the Supreme Court's decision of 1967 allowing a black man to marry a white woman? And then say, no, we're not going to allow that as a constitutional right of marriage, but it's okay to have a civil union. Why couldn't we apply that exact same argument in this exact same situation and say, Clarence Thomas, you're not allowed to get married, but we'll give you a civil union? That's horribly offensive.
Yes.
And it would apply in this exact same situation, in my opinion.
That's why I felt like it was a dog whistle.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.